let's talk about something we all feel. Why do we care so much about what other people think? It's this nagging question, right? And in this explainer, we're going to get into the science of it, and trust me, the answer is pretty fascinating.
You know that feeling? You walk into a room, maybe you're having a bad hair day, or you stumble over a word, and bam, suddenly you're convinced that a giant spotlight is following your every move. It's intense.
But here's the thing. What if I told you that feeling isn't some personal flaw? It's not a sign you're insecure, it's actually a feature, not a bug. It's hardwired into our biology, an ancient survival program running in our modern lives.
This quote from Dr. Leslie Becker Phelps just nails it. We are biologically driven to connect. That changes everything, doesn't it? The fear of being judged isn't about vanity. It's your brain flagging a threat to connection, which, to our biology, feels like a threat to survival itself.
So, to really get this, we've got to look at the science of belonging. And this goes so much deeper than just, wanting to have friends. It's way more primal than that.
At its heart, belongingness is this deep, emotional need to be an accepted part of a group. Seriously, think of it like a psychological version of hunger or thirst. It's not a want, it's a need.
And check this out. Look at where this lands on Maslow's famous pyramid of needs. Love and belonging isn't some luxury item at the very top. No, it is a foundational layer, right after we've got food, water, and basic safety covered. Before our brains can even really work on things like self-esteem, they're screaming, are we part of the group? Are we safe?
And a couple of psychologists, Baumeister and Leary, they really cemented this idea. They argued that this need to belong is one of the most powerful motivators we have. It shapes almost everything we do, from our careers to our hobbies to how we build entire societies.
Okay, so the need to belong is real. It's powerful. We get it, but our brains have a kind of quirky way of handling this need, which often creates what you could call a cognitive glitch.
Which brings us to the big question. If belonging is so natural and necessary, why does chasing it often make us feel so incredibly anxious?
Well, the answer lies in this brilliant concept from psychology called the spotlight effect. It's our brain's default setting to make us feel like we're the star of the show, brightly lit on stage with everyone else watching. But the reality is, everybody else is just busy being the star of their own show.
And there's some great research on this. In one classic study, students had to wear a kind of embarrassing t-shirt and then guess how many of their peers noticed it. They guessed about 50%, half the room. The actual number? Only about 25%. We consistently think double the number of people are paying attention to us than they really are.
At the end of the day, it's an egocentric bias. We're so anchored in our own experience, we feel our own awkwardness so intensely that we just can't imagine other people aren't feeling it too. We forget they're just as wrapped up in their own internal world, worrying about their own stuff.
All right, so let's take this ancient biological need and this weird cognitive glitch and throw them straight into the wild world of social media. This is where things get really interesting.
And academics are all over this. They're studying how this fundamental ancient drive is being totally rewired and expressed in our new digital ecosystem.
Online, our deep need for belonging gets a new name: social validation. It's the same old desire for acceptance, but now it's been quantified. It's been turned into a number you can track.
And what are those numbers? You know them. Likes, comments, shares, follows. These have become the digital stand-ins, the proxies for real-world social approval. They're quick, they're measurable, and they're everywhere.
Every single time you get a like, it's a tiny little dopamine hit that tells your ancient brain, you're accepted, you're part of the tribe, you are safe. It's feeding that deep, foundational need we saw on Maslow's pyramid.
So given that this is all basically part of our human programming, what are we supposed to do about it? How do we find some balance in a world that feels like it's constantly demanding a performance?
Well, the goal is not to stop caring. Let's just get that straight. That's like trying to stop feeling hungry. It's impossible. The real goal is to manage the anxiety that comes with it and to get really intentional about whose opinions we actually let in.
So here's a healthier way to think about it. First, build your real tribe, the people who accept you, messy parts and all. Second, actively challenge that spotlight effect. Just remind yourself, hey, probably only half the people I think are noticing are actually noticing. Third, try to focus outward. Instead of getting lost in your own head, get genuinely curious about the people around you. And finally, it all comes back to self-acceptance.
The more you value yourself, the less you'll need validation from the outside world. So I'll just leave you with this question. When you stop performing for that imaginary audience, when you accept that the spotlight is mostly just in your head, who are you then? Because that's where the real you is. And that's where the freedom begins.